Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing our Krakow run. Last episode we got off to a little bit of a rough start. For a majority of the episode, I kind of thought that it wasn't going to be possible for us to get freedom from Austria-Hungary, but now we have a brewing little bit of weekly basis. Ooh, looks like the values have changed. Okay, so what we did is we updated in between each of these episodes. We did get an update, and so it does look like the values have changed. Cold is no longer giving us plus 50, but I think we have this base value of plus 10 now. Economic independence seems to maybe be tuned down a little. Maybe we gotta wait a week to see if the version's gonna make a difference. We have a Rev brewing immediately in response to the Council Republic, so maybe a couple things here have changed. Very importantly, something that we did notice had changed that we had checked immediately is now it is operating from buy orders rather than from consumer goods, which is of course spectacular because we will probably be shifting from a focus that we have here on glasswork and furniture to tools. I think instead of this, once we get a chance, I think tools will be a little bit better. Council Republic is a brewing, or this rev is a brewing, but each time, or last time we revved, the revolution seized control of Austrian-owned manufactories, of which we still have a few, and this is something that we're amenable to, and we just have to hope that Austria sides with us as we try to go Council Republic. I actually don't even think this rev pops in time, to be honest, and I think we are able to pass. So the things that we are going to be focusing on this episode here is we are trying to get out from underneath Austria, and we have kind of two ways we could do it. We were really focused last episode on getting people to support our independence. We currently have Prussia supporting our independence, but Prussia this patch kind of just shits the bed most of the time, and so that is going to be a little bit of a difficult thing. But if we can maybe get them to just reduce autonomy on us and accept well, we won't request this because this will actually increase our legitimacy but decrease our weekly liberty desire, but if we can request reduced autonomy and they accept it, then we will be a dominion, and then we could actually buddy up with Austria, because if Austria is backing us up, then we could fight Russia, and more importantly we could fight Prussia and fight our way to the coast through these Polish lands, and look to kind of nab some of the stuff that we need in order to form Poland, Lithuania anyways, and get our way to the coast. And if we're a dominion and we're on the coast, we can cook. If we're landlocked, we just cry a lot, and mostly other than cry a lot. Also, keen on seeing if this updated version, if we see the financial districts start to pop up a little bit more. One of the reasons that we are going Council Republic currently is government ownership is butt. Even on interventionism, which we swapped to, half of these dividends are getting annihilated from the economy, and we would rather this not be the case. Wait, some of these are going to reinvestment? Okay, in that case, a quarter is going in. But either case, in either way, a lot of money is getting annihilated from the economy. It's not quite as bad as we had thought it was. Was this changed too in the interim? I'm not entirely sure. But if this is the case, if half of this is going to dividends, if half of this is going to reinvestment, then that means only a quarter of the dividends is getting annihilated. I still think Council Republic's better if we can't get the capitalists to buy up all the buildings, but which is why we're going to continue going it. I think it's a lot easier to get your capitalists up and going if you are playing a bigger country, and that as a smaller country, maybe it makes sense to go Council Republic really early as we are. But once we get a much bigger sample size, it'll be much easier for us to tell these sorts of things. Well, this is a funny timing on Firebreak popping. Whether it is through the trust of our people or the truncheons of our soldier, Krakow has emerged unbroken from a wave of socialist agitation that threatened it. You mean like the type of socialist agitation that makes us pass Council Republic? That kind of socialist agitation? We, of course, don't want to give support, I think, for secret and military police, so we'll just do this one, but a little awkward there. Right on the eve of passing socialism, we proclaim victory against socialism. So our cooldown for Christ of Nations is renewed, and I think this is our main tool in order to get ticking negative or positive liberty desire with Austria is to repeatedly do this, get those negative relations. And so here's what we're going to do is we're going to sponsor dissidents abroad, and we're going to sponsor them in Austria, and this is going to deteriorate relations by 30. Right now, relations are improving, and there's actually nothing we can do about the improving relations, because we can't damage relations with them currently, because we're getting it from Puppet, but the relations are already too bad for us to damage. You can only damage to -50, and so we will do this, well, Actually, I think we're going to do it in Danzig. The reason being is, now that I think about it, if we do want Austria to help us out sometime down... We actually should have never clicked this button. I think that if we wanted Austria... See, the problem is if we want Austria to help us out later, we actually want to be able to spawn good relations. I think what... This is a little bit rough. But also, we know that... Well, I guess we don't know what the number is anymore. I think it was the values before were like 0.2 and 0.5, and now values have gotten adjusted here a little bit in regards to liberty desire, which I think is probably going to make it easier for us to be able to do Krakow in general. So the last episode's maybe going to be just a struggle bus episode, but I think we're going to go with Danzig, just because... Actually, maybe Prussia is just having enough trouble that we can spawn it in Prussia and have them actually fail to defend. There's not really a way we can convince Austria to join a thing, a play against Prussia, but if there was, that would be useful. Well, this is very awkward. Austria enforced a regime change on us, and hereditary bureaucrats, and freedom of conscience, and autocracy, and appointed bureaucrats, and hereditary bureaucrats, and monarchy. Not sure what we're supposed to do about this. That is pretty annoying. How annoyed did that make us in terms of liberty desire? They changed straight up like 5 laws. Jesus. That's so painful. Holy shit. They changed so many laws. That's so disgustingly uncomfortable. I mean, I have to imagine our rev becomes extreme at this point, but we have 30%, and they'll have to support us. And here we have a little bit of action, maybe. So maybe with this is the current state of affairs. Nope. We are hoping that they would come to our request to support independence, but we don't even have enough liberty desire. Wow, that really gives no liberty desire? That's so crazy. Like, our clout just got... We can't even reform the government at all. Yeah, because these guys are so pissed because all the laws got passed back the other way. Oh man, that's rough. That's real rough. Alright, I have a sneaking suspicion that the game doesn't like us playing on our save file because it let us join on France's side in this war, which I think will auto... Oh, it lets us join because we're insurrectionary. Well, this is going to give us ticking negative relations. I am assuming this is going to give us a ton of liberty desire. We're also going to get clapped a little bit here. Hopefully they didn't put any war goals in on us. They didn't. But with us on the same side of... With us on the same side as France now, we're hoping the request to support... No, they still don't want to support our independence. Well, we're just going to get full occupied here. But we can just capitulate. However, I think that... Are we getting some sort of thing from being at war with them? No, but we should be getting negative relations at the very least from being at war with them. So that will kind of help us move things along. We're also probably not going to be able to well, we'll see what happens with this cooperative ownership, but without being able to put the guys in government because they're pissed at us because our laws got enforced on us, it's going to be a little bit rough. I just don't see how we are able to do this. Yeah. Man, France is bodying both Austria and Russia right now, and we're not in this war, which is a bit unfortunate. And this is slowing down. It's slowing to a crawl, because now we're starting to get a lot of entanglement. Unfortunately, they do own a large share of our economy, but now it's coming in from these buy orders, because we're buying so much wood and iron in order to be able to produce stuff. And I think that since they could live without our tools, but we can't live without their wood and iron, we're in a position where we're just going to be increasingly dependent unless something crazy happens. So we could request support regime. They will not accept. This will deteriorate relations. And so I guess let's try this. And we get liberty to desire. Okay, up high enough. Now here, they would not accept reduction of autonomy. And so if they decline, it increases our liberty desire by 10 and decreases relations. And so what is it that makes them want to accept? Base reluctance really low. Their attitude is negative, and their perceived ability to defeat us, which they can, and our relations are really high. Now, we can't get up to this increased autonomy point without having this sort of help from having negative relations. I think we're going to send this in. And then we now have really high liberty desire. So now my understanding is that at some point here we can ask for independence, right? We need to have we have a truce with them for 4 years, and we need at least 90 liberty desire. I don't know if we'll trend towards 90. We're only getting plus 0.04. So this is the entanglement that we had last episode was based only on consumer goods, and I don't think was quite as bad as this entanglement, because in order to keep producing our tools and our everything, we need their goods. They don't need our tools because they have a decent enough amount of tools, I suppose is how this is working. So that leaves us in a really awkward spot where we're maybe just shy of the finish line in terms of what we can do. Okay, the other thing here is we have a revolution brewing, and it's led by a trade unionist. So I think when we back down to them, unfortunately he's a social democrat, so I think it's going to make us a parliamentary republic, but we're going to step down, and by abdicating, we will get the hands thrown up in the air, and this or the abdication, I guess not hands thrown up, that's the one if you're president, but we will be able to, okay, perfect, we will be able to abdicate and switch to the governing principles of the rev that we are abdicating to, in which case it's led by the trade unionists, and also enact the law that they're agitating towards, and get rid of a whole bunch of radicals. And so this will make them happy. I think they're at plus 20 now. We can do this, put them in government, we can be legitimate again, and we also have cooperative ownership, which has swapped all of our government-owned buildings over to being owned by the people, and with them owned by the people, we will no longer be having any sort of money being annihilated. There's very little reinvestment, so that's one of the downsides, but all these dividends are going to go directly into consumption, and so this should spike our GDP up a little bit. We can see it's rising a little bit, because no money is getting deleted. However, we still do have this, we're going to cross, I guess, the up to 90. The thing is can we maintain it for 4 years so we can declare independence? Man, this is not exactly what we wanted here. So when we are on interventionism, it seemed to be the case that Austria could not buy levels of our buildings. It seems like that under Council Republic, since they are our overlord, they can buy levels of our buildings, which means I think we are going to get bricked here pretty soon, because we will get increasingly entangled as they own a higher and higher percentage of our buildings. It wasn't 5% before, I believe it was lower than this. And there's, I guess we could restore the other stuff. And maybe that's better. Yeah, you can see we're losing more and more buildings. There's no way for us to rake back these Austrian buildings either. We can't delete their buildings. Jesus. Okay, so this is probably do or die in the next 4 years, I suppose, when we can... it's currently 90, so we actually can declare for independence if we didn't have a truce with them, which we do. Alright guys, we had Sweden supporting us, now they're not. I just realized that we wouldn't have had a truce with Austria-Hungary if we didn't join with France against them. So to some extent we shot ourselves in the foot there, but then it's not that substantive because we have 0% chance of winning a war because nobody currently supports our independence. And not even Prussia at this point. Well, Prussia's domineering. Jesus. That's unfortunate. Can we not improve relations? Or are they just... they must have exiled our diplomats. So... yeah, this is looking like it might be Jover, friends. between the fact that our liberty, I mean, if we could keep this above 90, maybe there's a slight chance, but Russia really problematically for us has allied with Austria. I think that this happens somewhat frequently in terms of us rolling for Krakow, and so I think that this might be it. We're going to play on a little while longer, but I think that this run might be better to just as we kind of approach the halfway into the game mark than to try and do this. Overall, kind of my impression so far is that these mechanics support the Overlord versus the really tiny powers, and then really hurt the Overlord maybe with the much bigger powers, and so maybe we do something with the EIC to kind of get another side of this. Also them just wrecking our laws with the enforced demand using their power block, their ideological union thing. Allows regime change, enforced regime change. That was insane. That was really neat. I think that this might make the power block group for this actually really strong. This ideological union might be strong if it allows you to enforce like open borders on people and like forced migration. This is an interesting one, and so as far as the power blocks go, I think that the two primary principal groups though for it are maybe not so good. At the hostile tier of relations, we're decaying even more liberty desire, which has managed to actually keep us from decaying down. We're getting plus 0.5, but we have this very narrow window, and coming up this September, we can declare war, and this is probably the only time we're going to get to be able to declare war now. And the real problem is no one wants to support our independence. Prussia has negative relations. I realized that we did the agitation in Prussia, and that's probably why they exiled diplomats. And so I think that it's pretty scuffed at this point. And so without having anything in sight, really, we're gonna go to September. But I think that this is a restart. I think there's a lot of things that we could improve on for next time, and also that we maybe didn't get lucky. Like I think when Prussia does badly, that's really not ideal for us, and we would prefer a strong Prussia, and in particular, we would prefer a Russia that has some sort of antagonism towards Austria rather than buddy-buddy, because we really want either or both of these guys to be able to support us. And so, yeah, I think we're going to call it here. I just don't think there's a good way for us to do this, and I'm not even sure if I'll publish this round. I think I will, because people often like to see some of the struggling and not necessarily all the best stuff. And to be fair, I think we did a lot of learning here. We could ask for increased autonomy, but they're not going to give it to us. The real rub is that the negative relations are a huge driver of our ability to maintain. I don't know what the change rate scaling from high liberty desire is about exactly. We see a return of this value, but we're now very, very entangled. We're about to start decaying in the other direction, and nobody else wants to support us. And so I don't think it's going to be possible for us to get independence. And also, Council Republic was a bit of a mistake, even though economically maybe it made some sense. And also, to be fair, maybe the buying patterns of the private ownership is a little bit different because the game had just gotten patched. But we see that Council Republic allows them to buy up the workers' shares, or our overlord to do so, whereas interventionism had protected them from purchase, and this is going to just give them increasingly high leverage. And while we could keep rolling this Crisis of Nations event to keep having negative relations, we're like running out of rope to have left to do all the Poland Lithuania stuff. I think the fact that we only have like 50 years left in game is substantive enough, and I think that I get my overall assessment is that the Diplo mechanics might actually make this harder than 1.6. I think that it's going to require like less micro and perfect timing and save loading, like this type of thing, in terms of getting free as Krakow, but it's going to maybe take a little bit more time you're going to want to hit this Christ of Nations event. I think that this requires nationalism, so maybe you research nationalism early so that you can start fostering Polish radicals in Austria-Hungary, decrease relations, in particular go and stay on interventionism to make it so that they can't invest in your country, this type of thing. And I think that this is probably a big part of the strat. And then we had a couple spots really early on where both Prussia and Great Britain were supporting us, so if we had that circumstance, we would have been able to break free. So maybe we try again in the near future here, kind of having learned a little bit and hopefully being able to break free. But I hope you guys enjoyed. A lot of the runs kind of right now are a little bit experimental, still trying to get a hang of the new mechanics. So for those of you who their cohesion's really dropping because we have bad relations with them, so that's kind of funny. But does it also have to do with us having... Okay, it's just lower relations. I was wondering if it had to do slightly with us having way different law systems than theirs. Still want to sink my teeth in ideological union. Probably going to use this on Russia and try and see how that is. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode and the run. We might try and restart pretty soon. Especially if you guys really want to see this. I know I have like 3 kind of early episodes of things with questions at the end if you really want to see them. But if you give feedback, I'll continue the ones that you guys are most interested in. And I hope you enjoyed. I think I already did YouTube stuff. So, yep, have a good one.